Let's look at entering expenses. You'll see it's the last option here, and it's also available as Command or Control 5. Tap that and I get expenses. So here's a list of all the expenses that I've had entered in my system. So let's enter a new expense. We tap the plus, and down here at the bottom I've got the date. I enter today's date. Location will auto-complete. I can put in my price, $20, say, for paper, and that completes too. And then that's office supplies. I simply tap O, and in 10 seconds that's done. There are some cases in which you will not want to claim 100% of an expense on your taxes. So when we create a new expense, notice it defaults to 100. So if some item costs me $300, then automatically the $300 comes out to be claimed. However, with things like cell phones, increasingly the IRS doesn't want us to claim that full amount. And they say, well, you're actually using your cell phones for personal calls and texting, et cetera, et cetera. You can claim half of it, or you can claim 70%. And so follow the recommendations of whoever your tax advisor is. So let's say that I'm allowed to charge 50% of this to taxes. I simply change that to 0.5, and then the $300 gets cut in half to 150. I'll still have my receipt, I'll still have the cost, location, and everything, but in my totals on my reports, I'll only be claiming $150. And I've brought up the Sprint charges, as the example for the cell phone up here, and you can see that's the only case, I think, within the sample data that you get where it's not claimed at 100%. Now all I want to do maybe is drag in the receipt. So if I have a picture or a scan of the receipt, just what we were talking before, I could actually point the iPad at a receipt and take a picture. If I have it here on my computer like I do, I could drag that in, and I could put anything I want in that field. In fact, what I'm going to do here is delete this and go over to the email. If I wanted to, I could actually just drag a copy of my email onto the desktop, and I could just put that email right into the receipt field. I tend not to do that because when you look at it, either on the iPad or on your computer, you get basically the code for that email. Now the email's still intact. In fact, if I export it again, so I export the email, and I put that, I'll just call this 22, put that back on the desktop, notice it's all there intact, and I can open it up, and hey, there it is. So it's great. It saves basically almost any type of file you want to drop into this field. You can drop a file into that field and it'll work just fine. But to view files, it's really good to use PDFs or pictures or video, things that are easily viewable. So typically what I do is if I get something in a receipt, I'll just go to File and Export as PDF, and you can do that from a number of mail applications again. I could, if I want, even just open up this email on my iPad and take a picture of the screen, which is holding your power and your home button down at the same time. Store that in there. There's all kinds of different ways. I like doing this because if I'm ever audited, hey, it's all right there. I also like it because, again, that 15 seconds maybe of typing in what it was and another 15 seconds of finding the receipt when they happen makes the end of the year really easy. I tap on business reports and I do annual expenses for 2016, and boom, there's all my categories, all the expenses, it's all right there. If I need to find more information, I can simply come back to the expense entry and I can search for anything. So I could look for everything that happened at Staples. I've had 11 transactions that have happened at Staples, and the receipts are right there, and all the information is there. So if I ever get audited, it's very easy for me to produce all the materials that I need. If I want to sort these, if I simply tap on Sort here, it will put them in order of descending. Now it'll keep the current record active, so it kept the 2015 record active, but the one that we just put in is now up at the top. And we can look within this set. So let's say that I want to find everything that happened at Staples. And then maybe I want only the ones that happened in 2016. So I put in 2016 to refine that. And then it turns out there's only one thing that I've entered this year for Staples. So a lot of the same sort of options. I can delete, sort, and search within. Tracking all of your expenses here gives you all kinds of power in your annual reports. And since we're here, I will also show you the expense by period report. So this allows me to run a report for any period I want. So I could run it for a month, for a week, for a day. In this case, we'll run it for a long time. We'll run it for quite some time. And again, I get my category totals, but the nice thing about this report is I also get an expense breakdown at the bottom with a nice graph. Additionally, if I want to review these individual banking charges, I simply twirl down and look, there's all my banking charges. Again, if I feel like, oh, maybe that was an entry problem, why did I spend $143 or something like that? I can tap on that, go right to the expense, and if I've saved the receipt, look at the receipt again and all that. So there's a lot of flexibility and power by taking a moment to enter your expenses as they occur so that you get all this great reporting and you're taken care of for essentially a paperless audit. If you ever get audited, you have everything here. You don't have to hunt through files.